Okay, we're gonna end on a last one that's a little bit heavier,
Okay.
but I think that it is really important, and it's a question about pain. And I think that a lot of us, as you try to draw closer to God, pain is an area that we can all kind of get hung up on. Like, God, I want to be close to you, but bad stuff keeps happening. Are you real? Do you care? Like, if you're gonna do this, why would I be close to you? Like, all those types of things can really get in our heads. And so this student is asking, if he loves us, and he means God, if God loves us, why does he let us feel pain?
Yeah. Great question. One of the most difficult questions to answer for anyone who is a theist. What I mean by that is that believes that a God exists. Let me answer it personally
Mm,
and then go into more of like a theological answer to it as well.
okay,
So I've wrestled with this question.
great.
So I have a incurable kidney disease. Found out about this when I was 12 years old. Had no clue up to that point. It's genetic. I'm in my 40s right now. So I've lived, most of all of that life without any challenge with it. Well, it's probably challenge is probably not the right word. I probably lived in such a way where it's not like inhibited me in any ways. For the most part, I can do things regularly. As I'm getting a little older, I have to watch that. But the challenging question I've had to deal with since I found out about it was I have this disease that's incurable that causes me pain occasionally. I can treat symptoms of it, but there's nothing I can actually do that will resolve it. And for all intents and purposes, as best I can tell, I was created and made this way, right? It was genetic. And so the question is, how do I live my life balancing this pain and this challenge, sometimes a frustration, now that I have a wife and kids and think, what does that look like on this side with other things too? How do I balance that with still being okay and pursuing a God who says that he loves me, that he has good plans for me, when it could seem like this incurable disease that I have, in my estimation, is not a good plan and doesn't seem to be like an expression of love. So I'm in pain physically. Sometimes I go through emotional, mental, or this probably isn't like a word or category, but I'll say soulish, like suffering. Like there is some real angst there. There's some anguish. There's fear. There's anxiety connected to that. So how do I balance the two? So for me personally, and then we'll swing this around theologically, one of the best answers and examples I've found to this type of question, which is why do we have evil and suffering in the world if God is good, all powerful, all knowing, called a soul making theodicy. That's really fancy word to say that it is a way to work out and strengthen the soul of free will creatures. Okay. So I'll explain that a little bit. How do you get better? Like generally speaking at anything, how do you come out on the other side of something that's pain or suffering or struggle so that you're better than you were before you went in? So I think that suffering and pain in a world where we have free will looks like that I have this free will allows me and my soul going through this pain to become better on the other side. I think another way to think about it too is sometimes we give that answer and we say, well, that seems really frustrating because I assume that God is going to respond to me only in one way in that. That he's like this judge who's waiting to see, like, how am I going to handle the trial? Right? I'm
Yeah.
going to give you this trial of suffering, and then I'm just going to stand here and see if you do it well. I think that God's not just saying, I want to see if you have the fortitude to make it through. I think he knows the challenge in front of you, and as you're going through it, he's beside you
Yes.
as you
Yes.
walk it.
Yes.
So at any moment, and maybe every moment, when you feel alone or you're like, man, I don't understand, God's presence is there with you.
Mhm,
And it may not be an answer that says, here's why this is happening. I mean, it could
mhm,
be,
mhm,
but I think it's to say something like, God is not aloof and watching you struggle in this pain and this suffering. It's
mhm,
as you're going through it, is there going to be something better on the other side? I think so. I think it's going to
mhm,
be better for your soul. Now, that's hard to say
mhm,
because there's also a pointedness towards that. As I'm
mhm.
going through my suffering, I'm trying to point that and direct that towards my relationship with God.
Yeah.
But I think that's also, to be brutally honest, I think that's also an answer that is clear in the world. And maybe you've seen people like this. I know that I have, and it's not a pretty scene. I have seen people in suffering
Mhm.
who pointed that suffering solely at themselves,
Hmm.
not towards God. And so the outcome of that suffering was really bad. There was a lot of selfishness. There was a lot of pain. There was a lot of things that could have been fixed or resolved, but there was just more happening. There was this inability to say, I'm walking alongside God in this. It was more, no, I'm alone in this.
Hmm. Yeah.
No one is there for me. No one cares for me. I understand the temptation to be like, you don't understand what I'm going through. I do not.
Yeah.
I don't understand what having cancer feels like. I don't
Mhm.
understand what, depression or something might feel like clinical depression.
Mhm.
But I understand suffering.
Yes.
And maybe the degrees are different, but
Mhm.
I do understand too in walking through my suffering and my challenge, if I'm directing that towards the Lord in the moments of a misunderstanding or mystery or struggle, there's going to be someone there who is alongside of me. Doesn't mean it's going to be perfect. Doesn't mean it's promised that I won't have pain.
Mhm.
But to bring it back to the soul making, theodicy, on the other side of that,
Mhm.
there's something about my soul that has been made better. But when I say better, I think better in the sense of there's a maturity. It's like a maturing
Mhm.
factor, right?
Yeah.
You probably heard people say this, but there is something to suffering well, and there is something to suffering poorly. And all of us can take a knee to Christ himself, right? When you read of his suffering,
Mhm.
to see that this is what suffering well looked like, but this is also what suffering looked like where there was challenge and struggle, but it was also suffering that led to the greatest hope we have of all time, which is the resurrection.
Yeah.
You don't get the resurrection without suffering,
Mhm.
right? You
Right.
don't get salvation for all of humanity without the cross.
Mhm.
And so that's something more theological to point to. Like I said, there's a ton philosophically, theologically. I'm
Yes.
just trying to hit some of these things, talk
Mhm.
about it at a personal level too,
Mhm.
and trying to be charitable with it as well. But just to get you started, right? Student
Mhm.
who asked this or people who think about this, those are some beginner things. There's a lot of great YouTube channels out there. I'd send you to some guys like Sean McDowell,
Mhm.
um,
Yeah.
some others at Biola, some of those type of thinkers. Wes Huff is a really good popular apologist. He does more with manuscripts, so he's got some things on this. Those are
Mhm.
solid resources for like as far as YouTube goes
Yeah.
that you would want to
Great.
look at.
Great.
Go watch those guys, okay, and follow some of the trails. If you wanted to dive deeper into, okay, what is like the problem of evil, like philosophically or
Mhm.
theologically too, but that would be my answer to that.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. I love thinking about it, like personally, but also philosophically, because we experience it both ways, right? It's like there's that pain and suffering, all of us experience it. And if you haven't yet, like you will, like all of us experience pain and suffering. And we have to figure out like what does that look like for me? Like in my skin, in my life, in my head, in my heart, in my world, what does that pain look like and how am I gonna manage that pain and suffering? Am I gonna do it on my own? Like we've been talking about this whole episode. Am I gonna make it about me or am I gonna focus my attention like on God in the midst of it? Because none of us will escape it. But also, I do love like we kind of have to wrestle with this bigger question of pain in the world in general and more philosophically, like what's even the point of pain? Like what's the point of it? And I love that you spoke to that too in the what is it? The soul working
The soul making theodicy.
Rule-making theodicy, yeah, which is just it's cool to think about that stuff and say, "What if one of the purposes of pain is to actually just like going to the gym hurts, but it makes us stronger? What if some of the purpose of pain is that it's like doing something deep inside of our heart and our soul and forming us into people?" And that's one of the things that I love it. I think that's so it's just a unique and a cool, insightful way to think about pain too, so
I think that's an important point too. You put it really well with the word forming. The point of pain and suffering, I think the Christian response to that is like a formation, right?
Yes,
So, like you
yes.
said, use it like with a relationship with someone. If you got a relationship with someone and they do something to hurt you, then that's a hurt that goes to the heart, to the soul itself. And there can be a searing, right? There can
Mhm,
be a formation now of
mhm.
yourself such a way where there's like a hardness here,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So there can also, though, be a way where you go through pain and suffering that doesn't present hardness, but it presents strength.
Mhm,
Those are different things. So
mhm.
maybe think of like Pharaoh, his heart is hardened
Yeah,
towards the Lord. And even the Israelites towards Moses are like, man, let's just go back.
yeah.
They're like, let's go back and let's go back and worship the false gods. They
Mhm,
literally said that. Let's just go back out of this wilderness and worship the false gods where we had comfort. But
mhm.
through that pain and the suffering in the wilderness, it was like, but there's strength of character, strength of soul that's being developed here. And Moses is
Mhm.
leading them through that. Just made me think of that when you said like formation. That happens all the time in any kind of struggle, going to the gym or like you said, in relationships. Is it going to like harden you or
Mhm,
strengthen? Pain and suffering can do one of those two. And it kind of
mhm.
goes back to what we talked about. I mean, there's two ways you pursue the Lord or you do pursue yourself. And
Right.
pain and suffering, I think comes back to those two ways as well.
Yeah, yeah. That's good. That's really, really good.